She said it like she was ordering a coffee. I asked if she wanted to celebrate our anniversary. Just dinner. The two of us, a quiet place near the lake. Danielle didn't look up from her phone. Pass, she tossed out. Busy week. And honestly, restaurants bore me. She tapped a message, smirked at whatever came in, and left the room. No hug, no rain check, not even a fake smile. I stood there with my jacket half on and the reservation email open. 10 years. I'd been stupidly excited to do something simple and decent. I told myself it was a mood. I've managed construction crews through hurricane rebuilds. I can handle a cold evening at home. But it lodged in my throat how easy pass sounded. If I'd known where that tone was headed, I wouldn't have booked a table. I would have booked an exit. That night, I tried again in the kitchen. If dinner out's too much, I'll cook. Friday, she closed the fridge with her hip. You cooking is more dishes for me. I'll clean. I said no. She slid a bill across the counter. Gas card's maxed. Transfer me 200. I just topped it off. She shrugged, then topped the other one. I'm late for yoga. I wired the money. Not because she snapped. Because I was still in keep the peace mode. That would end, just not yet. Leah called 20 minutes later. Danielle's younger sister, 5 blocks away, the family's unofficial mediator. Her voice had that warm blend of humor and warning I liked. You sound like a man staring at a weather app in a thunderstorm. She blew off our anniversary. Says restaurants are boring. Leah paused. She's been different. I'll talk to her. I'll handle it, I told her. But thanks. Hey, Mark. Yeah. You're the steady one. Don't let her make that a target. I laughed without humor. Too late. I went to sleep alone in a house I paid for, with a woman who wouldn't walk 10 feet to sit down with me. I set the reservation to no show, and the confirmation email looked like a receipt for something I couldn't return. The next morning, the thermometer on the porch was cracked. She'd knocked it off the railing, hauling a new planter around. No, sorry. It was old anyway. It set the week's tone. I brought flowers on Thursday. Simple ones, not the expensive kind. She stared at them like they were a bill collector. What's that supposed to fix? Maybe nothing. I set them in water. You're not listening, she countered, even though I was the only one speaking. Everything's fine. You're spiraling. How are we fine if you can't sit down to dinner with me? Because I don't need dinners to feel okay. She checked her phone again. And I need 300 for a deposit at the studio. Danielle. She cut me off. Don't make this a thing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't write poetry. I wired 300. Then I opened a spreadsheet and created a shared budget tab labeled Essentials Only. I invited her to it. New rule. I told her that night, sliding my laptop away. Rent, utilities, groceries we both eat. Those are covered like clockwork. Personal wants go on personal cards. That keeps fights off our kitchen table. She stared. You setting rules for me now? I'm setting rules for me. So I don't feel like a wallet with a heartbeat. She smirked. Cute line. Not a line. I stacked our mail into 2 neat piles. House stuff, personal stuff. Try it. It's clear. Her reply was a slow smile that didn't reach anything soft. You're overthinking. But sure. Make your little tabs. I went to the garage and tightened a loose hinge on the workbench. The silence felt like a hallway with dead bulbs. 2 days later, Leah texted, Talk. I met her at the walking path by the creek. It was brisk, clear sky. She had on a gray sweatshirt with paint on the cuff. She'd been redoing a dresser. She had that practical look, hair tied back, no drama. She kicked a pebble. She's telling everyone you're moody. I'm careful, I answered. She called me to say you're creating problems where there are none. Leah glanced my way. She also asked me if I thought she settled too young. That hit like a low ceiling on a moving day. She say why? Her words? I'm bored of blue-collar talk and small plans. Leah grimaced. Sorry. Don't be. I'd rather know. Leah slowed. Mark, you've done the dinners and the gifts and the talks. At some point, you stop throwing lifelines to someone swimming to a different shore. I blew out a quiet breath. I'm not there yet. I get it, she said softly. But don't let her use your kindness as a prop. We walked another mile. We talked about her repainting project, about my crew's new contract on a school renovation. We did not talk about Danielle for a few minutes, which was a relief big enough to notice. That night I grilled chicken. Danielle ate on the couch with a show playing, volume up. I moved the utilities to autopay. I told her across the room. We're steady for the month. She waved a fork without looking. At a spa day for me. I've been stressed. Personal card. She clicked pause. You said you wanted me to feel better. I want both of us to live like adults. Fine. She took a bite and smiled at something on her phone. You forgot to bring in the packages. I texted you about it. You mean the shoes that cost more than my truck tires? Don't be dramatic. She stood to get water. And by the way, Leah wants us to come by Sunday. Family thing. Great, I said. We'll be there. She looked surprised. You actually want to go? I don't hide from family. She laughed once. Good. We're something that fits. On Sunday, in Leah's kitchen, Danielle did her new bit. Light jokes at my expense, like I was a co-worker who left the coffee pot empty. He thinks budgeting is a personality, she told Leah's friend Bree, who had a sharp bob and sharper eyebrows. Bree smirked. Does he make you sign receipts? I lifted my plate. Only when you're serving sarcasm. Then I need a paper trail. Leah snorted, then hid it in a cough. Danielle shot her a glance. I put my fork down. New boundary, I said to the table, friendly voice, steady eyes. If the topic is my work ethic or money, and we're not solving a house problem, it's off the menu. Jokes included. Bree blinked. Oh. Leah nudged a bowl my way, almost like a thank you. Danielle tilted her head. Since when are you delicate? Since public digs started crowding out respect, I replied. She rolled her eyes. You're exhausting. Then pace yourself, I said, and went to stand by the window. Leah followed after a beat, handed me a napkin I didn't need. It wasn't about the napkin. On the drive home, Danielle turned to the window like the trees were more interesting than my face. You embarrassed me, she said. I drew a line. Same thing. Different by a mile. I shouldn't have to tiptoe around you. You should want to respect me. She made a tisk sound. You're paranoid. Everything is fine. It wasn't, and we both knew it. But she had found a word with a sting and liked repeating it. I moved the guest bedding to the upstairs room that night. I set my toolbox by the door. Danielle watched with arms crossed. Sleeping apart now? She asked. For now, I answered. Until the tone changes. What? You think I'm going to beg? No, I said, flipping a pillow. I think you'll decide if you value this or not. And I want a good night's sleep in the meantime. She laughed low. You're a trip. Take a map, I told her, and shut the door. 2 days passed quiet. Too quiet. Then came the first soft turn. She set a plate down near my elbow while I checked bids at the dining table. Homemade stew. Not fancy, but good. She slid into the chair with a half smile. I made your favorite, she said. I overreacted at Leah's. I get tense when money comes up. Okay, I answered, careful not to rush. Thank you for dinner. I want us to be okay, she added, eyes on the table runner. So do I. Then stop making everything a test. I put the pen down. I'm not grading you. I'm insisting on basic respect. That's a floor, not a ceiling. I can try, she said. Let's find our rhythm again. I nodded. I ate. The stew was genuinely good. After we cleaned up, together, quiet, almost normal, she leaned in like maybe she'd kiss me. I stepped back an inch. Not dramatic. Just not ready. She caught it and swallowed a comment. By Friday, the soften had evaporated. She texted at lunch. Send $500. Need to lock in a spot for a retreat. No please. No context. I replied. Essentials are covered. Personal things are on your card. She sent a thumbs down and nothing else. Leah called that night. Mom wants us all at her place next week. Potluck. You in? I'll be there. You sound fried, she said. Your sister is running drills on my patience. Leah blew out a breath. She's been posting throwback photos lately. High school, the old prom. I asked why. She shrugged and said some paths are better than others. Meaning, I think she's daydreaming about a different life. Leah's voice softened. I'm not saying you're not enough. I'm saying she's playing with matches near the curtains. I smell the smoke. I stood, looked at the second bedroom I'd turned into my spot. Neat, toolbox in the corner, a legal pad with a list titled, What I Control. I'm not her audience anymore. You shouldn't be, Leah replied. Saturday morning, Danielle upped the ante. I came back from the hardware store with new drill bits. She was on the couch scrolling through an alumni page, a photo of a guy in a tailored suit on her screen. She held it up. Remember Jason? He's doing well. House by the water, new company, always traveling. I tied off the bag. Good for him. He always had vision, she commented, like it was weather. Then he probably sees that your husband has a saw in his hand and a job to get to, I said, and carried the bag to the garage. She followed to the doorframe. You're sensitive. I'm busy. Don't be petty. It's good to see what's possible. I know what's possible, I told her, and clicked the garage light. It's also possible to respect your partner. She gave me a slow look that said she disagreed with the premise. Transfer 250, she added. For personal. No. Her lips thinned. You're loving this control thing, aren't you? I'm loving the quiet that comes with clear rules. She stormed off. I finished the shelf I'd been making for the laundry room. Me and the drill. Simple, predictable tools. Monday at the site, the guys noticed I was off. Nate, my foreman, a barrel-chested practical type, leaned on a stack of drywall. You're sandpaper today, man. Need a release valve? Home's loud, I admitted. You want a night at O'Malley's? He asked. Not my fix. I glanced at my phone. No text from Danielle. Then one flashed. Leah invited us to her mom's Sunday. You better be decent. I typed. I'm always decent. She sent no reply. Nate shrugged. If she's trying to draft you into nonstop drama, don't play. I'm not, I said. Good, he replied. We're mudding ceilings this afternoon. Something you can control. I took that small win. That Friday, I acted on what I control, item 3, time. I didn't cancel plans, there hadn't been any, but I shifted my availability. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb after 9. I planned an early run Saturday. When Danielle asked me to drive her across town for a noon class, I said, I can give you a ride at 10 or 4. Noon I'm at the lumber yard. She flared. You revolve around me, remember? That's the deal. That deal expired. I replied. 10 or 4. She glared. Fine. 4. And I'm not thanking you. I didn't request one, I said. That evening, the second soft turn arrived. She came into my room with a cardboard bakery box. Olive bread, she said. Your favorite from the market. I was harsh earlier. I hate it when we're off. I looked at the bread, then at her. Thank you. We could go for a drive later, she suggested. Clear our heads. I'm up early, I replied. But we could do coffee in the morning. She nodded, considering. Okay, coffee. She stepped closer. I miss us, Mark. I miss respect more. I told her, not cruel, just true. She studied me, then forced a small laugh. You and your floors and ceilings. It's how I build things. I know. She touched my arm, light. Sleep well. I did. The morning coffee didn't happen. She slept in and didn't mention it. The potluck at her mom's became the next stage. Leah's mom, Evelyn, is the type who speaks with her eyes before her mouth. A kind woman who tries to keep peace by always having extra chairs. The living room filled with cousins, neighbors, and opinions. Danielle laughed too loud, performed ease that felt rented, then found a corner with her mom and Bree. I chatted with Leah by the stove about her garden. We were good at normal. At one point, Danielle drifted over. You're quiet, she observed. I'm eating, I said, holding up a paper plate. People are asking why you're living like a roommate, she whispered. They can ask me, I answered. You're trying to embarrass me. Drawn lines aren't insults. She scoffed. You always need to be right. I need to be respected. Evelyn approached to refresh a platter. She looked between us. Everyone okay? Fine, Danielle said quickly. Then, to me, don't make a scene. I wasn't making one. Later, in the driveway, Leah touched my elbow. You handled that clean. Practice, I muttered. A week rolled by with small barbs and quiet rules. We hovered in a cold truce. I stopped initiating talks. I made my own dinners sometimes. I said yes to overtime. I said no to errands that existed to keep me on a leash. Leah noticed. She called one night. You've done enough, she said. Stop pouring into a cup with a hole. I ended the dinners. I'm not chasing. Good, she replied. Now give yourself a break. Come walk with me tomorrow. Just two humans getting air. We did. And then we did it the day after that. And the next. It started as miles underfoot and ended as conversations that actually fed me. We walked the creek. We walked Target's parking lot after it closed, the lights humming. We talked about her paint projects and my cruise jokes and the way middle-age sneaks up and asks what you're still doing here. I didn't flirt. Neither did she. But the ground moved. I like this, Leah admitted one night, pulling her sleeve down against the breeze. Me too, I replied. No drama. Just sentences that end. She smiled. You always were my favorite talker. That's a low bar. I joked, and she laughed the real kind. We didn't cross lines. We stayed on the safe side of a rail and looked over it sometimes. Danielle noticed the change fast. When you stop orbiting, gravity announces itself. One Wednesday, she called at 8:30 p.m. while I was tightening a loose stair tread at the office, a different foreign territory where I'd chosen to spend my evening. Where are you? At the office, I answered, pocketing a screw. With who? A hammer. Don't get cute, she snapped. You've been gone every night. Not every night. Who are you seeing? Contractors, bid sheets, and daylight savings. Drop the routine and answer me. I'm on my time. You're my husband, she pressed. I'm also a man with boundaries. What happened to making it work? She asked, voice pitched low with accusation. I stopped being a fan club of one. There was a beat, then a sharp exhale. Fine. Be mysterious. Transfer me 600 by morning. 4. Don't you worry about it. No. She hung up. A minute later, a text arrived. You're pushing me. I didn't reply. I tightened another screw, the kind of work that doesn't lie. The next night, I started making a very clear move. I took my name off the auto ship of her subscription boxes and set up separate grocery lists. I left her a note on the fridge. Groceries split. I'll stock what I eat. If you need something, put it on your list. She confronted me immediately. You're petty now? Over cereal. I'm careful with what I feed and how I feed it. She scoffed. You used to be generous. I still am, I said evenly. I'm done being careless. She jabbed a finger toward the door. Where do you go at night, Mark? Out. Out where? Walking. With who? Leah, I told her. I didn't hide it. Clean is clean. She stared like I'd yanked the tablecloth and left nothing standing. You're joking. We walk. We talk. You're welcome to have a conversation anytime. You're spending your evenings with my sister? She invited me to clear my head. That's my sister, she repeated, like the word itself carried rights. You can't do that. I can do anything that keeps me sane and respectful. It's not secret. It's not complicated. Her eyes narrowed. You're trying to hurt me. No, I said. You're trying to control me. Two different sports. She shook her head and paced the room once. If you don't transfer the 600, I'm not going to your birthday. That's your choice. You won't have anyone there, she snapped. I will. She slowed, calculating. Fine. I'll go. But wear the navy shirt. It's the only decent one. Noted, I said. I didn't wear it. The walks with Leah continued. We kept it clean. We kept it honest. There were moments, like when she showed me a photo of a bench she built, and I reached to steady her phone and our hands did that extra second, but we didn't step over. We didn't have to. The respect itself was oxygen. Do you ever regret not being selfish earlier in life? Leah asked one night. I regret not learning earlier that peace is louder than noise, I told her. Good answer, she said, smiling. You'll be okay. So will you, I replied. By the time my birthday landed, I felt like a guy with an exit in his pocket and a reason not to sprint. Friends came, co-workers, cousins. Evelyn set out enough food to feed a church. Leah hugged me in the doorway. It lingered one beat too long, then settled back into safe. Danielle swept in late with a flat, happy birthday, and a gift card tossed into my hand like a receipt. Nate clapped my back. You made it to 43, old man. 44, I corrected. But who's counting? Your wife, he muttered, nodding toward Danielle, accepting everyone's compliments about her new fitness tracker like she invented walking. I didn't bite. I shook hands, cracked jokes, ate cake. I stood next to Leah in the kitchen pouring lemonade and felt something like belonging. And then it happened. The room hummed at a good volume. Evelyn asked Danielle near the island, voice low but not private. You okay, honey? You look down. Danielle sighed, heavy. I'm just sad, she said, and then she lifted her face and put the words in the middle of the room. Because I finally realized I married the wrong person. I should have chosen my ex. The hum cut. Cups hovered midair. Even the ice looked like it stopped melting. Somewhere a kid's cartoon laughed on a phone and sounded like it came from another planet. I set my cup down on the counter with a click that felt loud. I didn't breathe fire. I didn't make a speech about all the nights I'd stood like a fool holding flowers. I looked at Leah, who met my eyes and immediately looked down, hands twisting a napkin. Then I turned to Danielle. I kept my voice calm. I regret choosing you over your sister, I said. Gasps. Not the polite kind. Leah's face went red. She almost smiled in shock, then caught herself. Danielle blinked, eyes wet instantly, because those tears were a tool that had stopped working months ago, and this was the last setting. She hadn't seen this angle. Leah's voice came small but clear. Honestly, that's easy to fix. I smiled. For the first time in months, it reached the place it was supposed to. Then it's settled, I told Danielle. You pack and go. Your ex is probably waiting. Your sister will take your spot. The room erupted. Some people scolded. Some clapped. Evelyn grasped the back of a chair like she needed grip more than balance. Nate muttered, "Well, hell," under his breath. Bree's mouth opened in a perfect O. I stepped toward Leah. I put an arm around her, simple and public. Not hidden, not dirty, just true. I took her hand. How about a walk? I asked, not as friends this time. Leah didn't flinch. Finally, she replied. I've been waiting. Danielle made a sound like a protest and a plea mixed together. I raised a hand lightly in her direction. You wanted a different life? I said. Go get it. We left. We didn't run. We walked out of a room full of noise and into air that didn't ask me to explain myself. We didn't go far. A block away there's a small bistro with decent salads and a dessert worth the price. We sat on the patio. The server lit the small candle on the table like it was a ceremony. Leah exhaled. You okay? She asked. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm done. We ordered. We laughed about the faces back there, the way Bree clutched her pearls without wearing any. Leah leaned in, elbows on the table. You know what you did in there? I ended a story that wasn't mine anymore. You chose yourself, she corrected. Finally, I nodded. About time. The next morning, I drove to the courthouse, paperwork in hand, steady steps, no theater. I filed. I left copies on the kitchen counter with an envelope containing a list of what I proposed and what I'd keep. Half the savings, I wrote. You know that number. I'm keeping the house and the truck. The rest is negotiable if it's clean. I didn't barter in insults. I put in facts. Danielle came home in the afternoon. She stared at the envelope like it might bite. You're serious, she said. I was serious last night too. You just picked her. I just stopped letting you pick me apart. This is insane. It's practical. She hissed a breath. You'll hear from me. I already have, I said, and went to my room. Half an hour later, I heard drawers opening and closing fast. The front door shut. No goodbye? It took a month. It felt longer, but the calendar doesn't lie. We signed. I lost half of what I'd saved. You can replace money. You can't buy back years, but you can stop pouring new ones into the wrong ditch. I kept the house. I kept the truck. I kept my mornings. Danielle moved out quietly. There were rumors she'd reached out to her high school dream, but he had a ring on his hand and a vacation calendar full of people who weren't her. She posted some cryptic quotes about growth that sounded like they were written by a blender. I didn't respond. Leah didn't smile at them. Life has a way of sorting itself when you unplug the drama. Leah and I didn't sprint. We didn't move her in the next day. We walked, like before, but now without pretending. We had dinner with friends who didn't need subtitles. We bought a small fire pit for my backyard and invited a couple of neighbors over for casual nights where the strongest thing was the mustard. She helped me stain the deck. She argued with me about whether tomato plants needed more space. She was right. At work, Nate watched me for a week and then pronounced, "You got lighter." I got honest, I told him. How's that feel? Like someone opened a window in a stuffy room. He nodded. You kept your crew in the divorce, he joked. That's the real win. True, I said, and handed him a new level. We got schools to build. Evelyn invited us for dinner a month after everything was signed. She set the table with the careful hands of someone who wants her kids to stop bleeding each other. Leah squeezed my hand under the table. Danielle wasn't there. No one brought up her name beyond a simple, "She's renting a place across town." That was it. Clean. When we left, Evelyn hugged me like a son and then stepped back. Thank you for handling it like an adult, she said. I wish my daughter had matched that. I wish a lot of things, I answered. But we're okay. Leah and I drove home with the windows down. We stopped at a convenience store and bought ice cream sandwiches like kids who got to pick dessert without asking permission. We sat on my porch, feet on the step, Night's simple as it gets. You regret the line? Leah asked after a bite. Not for a second. You did make half the room faint. I noticed, I said. Felt like the right amount of oxygen. She nudged me with her shoulder. You know, I meant it. Easy to fix. I'm not in a hurry, I replied. But I'm not circling either. Good, she said. I don't need circling. Months went by. My savings account grew back slower than my peace, which came in fast. The house felt like a place to rest again. I bought a second-hand grill and a set of tools I'd wanted for 2 years and kept putting off because I was playing Rescue Ranger. Leah and I built a small pergola and argued about stain versus paint like adults who like each other. She started leaving a toothbrush in my bathroom, then a sweater. Then the silence filled with plans that weren't desperate, just reasonable. A weekend in the mountains, a farmer's market on Saturday, a paint color for the spare room that was no longer the guest room, just a room. Danielle popped up twice. Once she sent a single-line text. You happy now? I replied, yes. No. No bench warming of the past. The second time she emailed me a photo of a beach I'd never taken her to and wrote, you never think big. I didn't answer. I was on my deck, holding Leah's hand, and the sky had that simple evening look that doesn't require a zip code to impress you. If you're looking for the moral, it's not wrapped in lace. It's this. When someone stops being your partner and starts treating you like a vending machine, you don't kick the machine hoping the snacks fall out. You unplug it. You set it at the curb. You keep your coin. And then you go find a kitchen where 2 people cook and nobody keeps score except to make sure the food's hot. On my birthday, she threw her little bomb to rewrite her story in front of an audience. She wanted pity or permission. She got a mirror. I didn't yell. I didn't list receipts. I put the last piece where it belonged and walked out with the person who actually saw me. That's not a movie ending. That's just a man refusing to live on a stage built on disrespect. I don't regret the money. I don't regret the decade. I learned. I kept my house. I kept my crew. I keep waking up next to a woman who asks me how I sleep and listens to the answer. I drive to job sites with coffee that actually tastes like coffee, not like swallowing a compromise. I come home to a place where no one is auditioning for a role that doesn't exist. And if you're wondering about that exact final line I gave her in the kitchen, I meant it. She wanted a different life. I gave her the road. The door didn't lock on it.